We are on Chaf Zayin Amid Beis, toward the bottom, 6 lines from the bottom. Amara, Nirba al Kika va'achla. Someone made a shvua on a loaf of bread, and he ate it. He wasn't supposed to. He made a shvua he's not going to, and then he did it anyway. Im shari mimena kazayis. If there's a kazayis still left from the kikar, he hasn't finished the whole thing. Nishalala, he still has the opportunity to be shoyal on his original shvua. He could go to the chacham and say, "I regret the shvua that I made," and the chacham can say, "Mutalach," and the shvua is retroactively disregarded, and therefore he won't be chayiv. He won't be chayiv having eaten it, and he could continue and eat the rest of it. Achla kula. If he finished the whole thing, and inshallah, then once he finished it, it's too late to be shayl on it. He can't be shayl anymore. What is this case of Rava's din that he says if you make a shvua not to eat a kikar, as long as you didn't finish the last kazayas, you can still be shayl on it? Either Amar Shaloi Eichel. No, in our Mishnah we had said there were two ways to say I'm not going to make a shvua that you're not going to eat a kikar. You could say Shaloi Eichel Kikar Zu, which we said means I can't even eat a kazayas from this kikar, or he says Shaloi Eichlena, which is that I can't finish the entire kikar. So what is this case? Either Amar Shaloi Eichel because I is Kama Avdelisur. If he said Shaloi Eichel, which means that he's saying I'm going to be over on the shvua if I eat even a kazayas from this. So as soon as he ate a single kazayas, he was already over on his shvua. The Gemara is understanding at this point that the reason why you could still be shayl up till the last kazayas is because you haven't been over yet. As soon as you were over, then it's too late to be shayl. So he says, if you said shaloi eichel, then as soon as you ate one kazayas, you were over. So why are you saying if there's a kazayas left, he could still be shayl? Even as soon as he finished one kazayas, he shouldn't be able to be shayl because he was already over. Ida amar shaloi eichlena, and if it's not where he said Shalei Eichel, but he said Shalei Eichel, meaning he has to finish the entire kikar in order to be over. My area kazayis afilu kol shunami. Why does the Mishnah say? Why does the Brisa say that he can be shayil on the nether as long as there's a kazayis left of it. As long as there's a kol shu left of it, he could be shayil on the nether. Why do we have to make it a whole kazayis left? Because as we know, right, just the same way as if a person is pirish, if he's mafresh and he says, I'm not going to eat even a kazayas from this kikar. He certainly that shvu is chal, and he can't even eat a kazayas, even a mashu. It's the same way the other way around. If he said he's going to eat the whole kikar, it means the whole kikar. What's the significance of a kikar left of it, of a kazayas left of it? Should be just a kol shu left of it. As long as he hasn't finished the kikar, he wasn't over yet, so he still should be able to be shayl. You can understand that we can answer this shayla. It could be answered in both of these possibilities. There's a way to justify Rava's statement. It could be a case where he said, "I'm not going to eat," meaning which means he's not going to eat a kazayas from this kikar, but migu de mahanile shela kazayas basya mahanile shela nami kazayas kama. We would say it's true, you were already over, but that's not that's not what determines whether or not you could be shayla on the nether, whether you're already over. What really determines is whether this shvua can still be shayla, is whether there's still something relevant about the shvua. So since he said, I'm not going to eat even a kazayas, as long as there still is a kazayas left, even though he's eaten the rest of the kikar, he's still not allowed to eat that last kazayas. Right? So if you're going to be shayl on the nether, that will be mater, that last kazayas. So as long as there's something that it could affect, if you're going to be shayl on the nether, it will affect that last kazayas, so then it will also help for the whole thing. Then it will be shayl retroactively, and it will also be mater what he ate before. But once you get past where there's not a kazayas left, so there's nothing, if he would eat less than a kazayas of it, he's not going to be over. So what you're being shayl on is not going to work on anything. So therefore, it can't retroactively be mata the shvuah altogether, even on the part that he was already over. So that's the way you could understand if it was where we're talking about a case that Rav was talking about a case where he said shaloi eichel, meaning a kazayis. Or you could say that Rav said that if someone was shayl on a neder, shayl on a shvuah, where there was, as long as there's less than a kazayis, as long as there's a kazayis left, he could still be shayl in it. He could be talking about shaloi eichel, where his original shvuah was that I'm not going to eat the entire kikar. We ask if that's the case, why do we say as long as there's a kazayis left? It should be as long as there's even a mashu left. He still wasn't over, and therefore he should be able to be shayil. So the point is, as long as there's and this is a very shvara svara, and the Rishonim have many explanations for it, but the pashta vart is that less than a kazayis left is not a chosh of a chefza to say, although it's true, l'chayra, that he hasn't been over yet, but for him to be shayil on something that's less than a kazayis, he's saying, I already ate the rest of it, but I'm only being shayil on this mashu, that's not enough to be shayil on. But, and if there's more than a kazayis left, he could be shayil on it. If there's less than a kazayis left, that is not a significant enough amount to be shayil in it. And they go back and forth about whether this means that Yitaka not over as long as there is more than a kazayis left. If a person said, if you could be already over as long as you ate it and there's less than a kazayis left, what you're missing from the kikar is less than kazayis. Some of the Rishonim and Achronim say that will be enough that he's already over, even though he said he's going to eat the whole kikar. That's the shvuah. Correct the Gemara. Meisvei. Gemara asks on Rav's klal that he says you could be shayil on a neder as long as you haven't. I'm sorry, I say shayil on a shvuah as long as you left over kazayis from that kikar that you made a shvuah that you're not going to eat. As long as the kazayis left, you could be shayil. Meisvei. Misha nader shtei naziris. Someone who made a neder that he's going to be mekayim 2 naziris, which means 2 naziris. 2 terms of naziris, each one of 30 days. Umana rishaina. So the rule is, if you make 2 naziris, he has to count 30 days and then finish that naziris and then start a new naziris of another 30 days. So he finished the first 30 days. The hifrish aleh carbon, and he separated the carbon fit. V'achkach nishal al rishaina. And after he finished, he was mafresh the carbon. He was shayil on this first naziris that he was makabel. Also loishnia berishayna. So you could do as you say. Oh, you already watched 30 days. You did 30 days of naziris. You're shayil on that first one, and now so that doesn't exist. So now those 30 days will be counted toward your second naziris. So the Gemara is asking l'chayra. You see, you could be shayil even though you already completed the 30 days. You could still be shayil. But Rava said, you can't be shayil on a shvuah where you said you're not going to eat a kikar, a full kikar. You can only be shayil it as long as there's a kazayis left in it. But once you already finished the whole kikar, it's too late to be shayil. So why is that different than naziris, where we say even though he finished the full 30 days, you can be shayil on it and allow the second one to take its place, to use those 30 days for his second naziris. And for Gemara, no, we're talking about over here where he was mafresh the carbon for his 30 days, but he didn't yet bring the carbon, so he doesn't have a kapara for it. So it's still, just like we say, if there's a kazayis left of the kikar, he still could be shayil on it. The same thing over here, since he hasn't gotten a full kapara yet, he hasn't yet brought the carbon, there's still something going on. This naziris is still ongoing, so therefore he could be shayil on it. Correct the Gemara of Hatanya keeper. It's very nice. It's a good svara that you're saying, but we have the Brisa says it's talking about a case where he separated the carbon. He was already mechaper. He already brought the carbon. It's like the Gemara b'shaloi gilach. We're talking about no. It's okay. So you're talking about where he was mechaper. He brought the carbon, but there's another requirement that a nazir has to do at the end of his 30 days. In addition to bring the carbon, he also has to shave his head. So we're talking about where he didn't shave his head yet. Rebbe Lazi Hidamar Tiglachas Ma'keves. We're going according to the man Amar, who says that shaving the head is also ma'akav in completing the naziris. So his Nazirus was not complete, and that's the reason why he could be Shail. In fact, the Marava Tanya Gilach. But with the Bryce, not only does it say that he was Mechaper, the Bryce also says that he already shaved his head. So he already finished everything that there is to do with this first Nazirus. So it's mashma that only because he finished everything can he, even after he finishes everything, he could still be Shail on the nether, not like Rava who says he could only be Shail on a nether if there's still something ongoing from the original, in our case, Shavua, where there's still a kazayas of the kika left. In this case, it should be it should he shouldn't be able to be Shail after it's completed. Amr Rav Ashi, Nazir, so Rav Ashi answers, Nazirus Karamis, you can't compare the case of Nazirus. Mi garam l'shmiya shalatichol rishayna. In the case of Nazirus, where he made two terms of Nazirus, and we said that the first he does the first 30 days. So we're saying even after he finished the 30 days and he already brought his carbon and he was galeach his head, even so, he could still be shail on the first neder, because the first neder is helping, it's accomplishing something. Because as long as the first Nazirus is in place, the second Nazirus doesn't start. So when you're going to remove the first Nazirus by being shail on it, that will allow those 30 days to apply to the second Nazirus. So there's an accomplishment. There's still something that's being done, that's being accomplished by this Nazirus. It's not a finished product, right? A person can't, let's say he makes a Shavua and he says, or he makes a Nazirus, let's say, and it happened, and then 10 years later, he says, I'm going to be shail on that Nazirus. It's over with. You can't do something after it's fully completed. But this Nazirus is not fully completed, because as long as this Nazirus is still existing, it stops the second Nazirus from using those 30 days that he was doing the rules of Nazirus. So the Gemara says over there, he could still be shail on it as long as he hasn't done the second Nazirus. That's what the Gemara says. Mi garam l'shniya shlatichol rishayna ve'ena. By the first Nazirus was accomplishing to stop the second one from being chal. So by being shail on the nether, he makes that the rishayna is not there anymore, and that allowed the second one to move into its place. But that's not a comparison to our case, where he said, shvua that I'm not going to eat the kikar. If you finish the whole kikar, there's nothing left. There's nothing to be shail on. It's already over and done with. You can't be shail once it's over and done. Ameimar Amar, afilu achal kulo nishaleh. Ameimar says, no, it's it is he disagrees with Rava. He says even if he finished the entire kikar, he made a shvua, I'm not going to eat a kikar, and then he ate the whole kikar, he could still be shail by chacham. If he did it b'shaygig mechus carbon, even though he's already been over the entire avera, but he hasn't yet brought the carbon. Even mezid mechus malchus. If he does it b'mezid, then he's still waiting to get his malchus. So until he got the punishment, he could still be shail. Avol kafsu ala amid loy. But once he was bent over the pillar that they used to, if you remember from the Sechtas Makas that we just learned, that the way they used to give Makas, they would bend him over and hit him. So if he was already on the amid, ready to get his malchus, at that point it's too late to be shail on what he did. You can imagine the scene in court. The guy's about to get his malchus, and he goes, I'm being shail on my original neder that I'm getting malchus from.
So this guy's pretty much like, if he's not shail, he's pretty much an idiot.
Yeah, he's a fool. What does he have to lose? Why not?
I'm just saying, it seems a little kind of takes away the whole point of the shvua.
Well, people are stubborn. I don't know. What's the point
I'm saying the fact that you can be nishal after you already messed up.
Yeah, and then
the severity of the whole shvua.
It's very hard to understand. Why didn't the Chacham tell him, come into Chacham and be shail? Because it's not just that he'll avoid the punishment, he'll avoid the Avera. He'll retroactively make that he didn't do the Avera. So I don't know why he's not like Bezin is kaifa to do all kinds of things to avoid an avera. Why aren't they kaifa after this? They should, instead of giving him, they say we're going to give you malchus if you don't say I'm kaiser
I
on it.
understand, 'cause otherwise you're kind of like taking away, like making Shavuos very mundane.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you could be like, what? I don't know why a person should make Shavuos in the first place. What do they accomplish? Yeah. The Amr Kiddush Shmuel.
Doesn't it say someplace that it's something that foolish people do? Or am I kind of making sure? Am I making it up?
I think that's Nazirus. Maybe you think about a Nazir, right? They would have the Gemara was very against people making themselves Nazirus, like they're trying to make themselves holy. I don't remember about Shavuos. I think there is something right. We're supposed to stay away from Shavuos because of the serious consequences.
Well,
Right?
then there's no utility to it.
Right. I mean, there's a Shavuos Edis, which is a different thing, but then we're
Right,
not
that's separate. But yeah, I'm talking about Stamazon making sure I'm not going to eat chicken.
I don't remember seeing that, but maybe we'll come across the Gemara. We're still learning Shavuos. We still
Yo,
have.
you might have been the one to say it. Yeah.
Zak the Gemara, Kiddush Shmuel. This is like Shmuel. The Amr Shmuel, Kafsei Olamid v'ratz mi bezdin potter. Someone who's already tied up and about to get his malchus, at that point, if he runs away, he's potter. So the understanding from that is that once a person is ready to get his malchus, he's already as if he got the malchus. So that will be the same thing over here. Once he was already tied up, even though he hasn't gotten the malchus, it's too late to be shayel because it's as if he got it. So Gemara V'Lahi, Shmuel is not really a raya to this. Hasam Ratz, Hachalei Ratz. As we said, we learned this back in Sanhedrin, that the point of a person the reason why a person who runs away after he's tied up to get the malchus is because the point of the malchus is less pain and more humiliation. And a person who runs away, showing himself to be a coward, is the humiliation of that is equal to the humiliation of getting the malchus. So it's not that when he gets tied up, as soon as he's tied up, it's as if he got the malchus necessarily. It's more that a person who got tied up and ran away, then his running away is in the place of the malchus. So Shmuel is not necessarily a raya to what Ameimar said, that when he's tied up, he already is too late for him to be shayel. It must be for a different reason that's already at the conclusion. It's too late in the game for him to be shayel. Amar Rav. Okay, this is a bit of a mind twister. The next thing. I hope everyone's got a good nap today. Amar Rav. Shvua shaloi eichel kika zu. Im eichel zu. Someone said a shvua, I'm not going to eat kikar aleph if I eat kikar beis. So he made the eating of the Isser, the way the Gemara is going to call it, is the first kikar. Kikar aleph is the kikar Isser of Yisura, and the kikar beis is the kikar of Tnai. If you eat kikar beis, then you can't eat kikar aleph. So what happens? V'achal es harishayna, and he ate the rishayna. So Rashi explains very clearly, the rishayna in this case doesn't mean the first one of the ones that we mentioned before, the kikar aleph. It means kikar beis. It means the one that was the condition, because that's the one that kikar aleph is dependent on, right? It depends on if he eats kikar aleph, then he's gonna be asur for him to eat kikar beis. So he ate the rishayna. At this point, he ate kikar beis. He hasn't done anything wrong at this point. Now, at this point, it becomes incumbent on him not to eat kikar aleph. But he ate achalash rishayna b'shaygig. He ate the first that kikar beis. He ate it b'shaygig. He forgot at that time that there was a shvur. He was thinking about different things. He totally forgot that there was a shvur on it. So now, at this point, he ate this kikar. That kicks in the shvur, but it was b'shaygig. Vashniya b'mezid, and then he ate kikar aleph. The kikar de Yisura, that at that point he remembered that there was a shvu, and he remembers that he already ate kikar beis and made it that he's not allowed to eat kikar aleph. Potter. He's going to be potter. Why is he potter? Because at the time that he ate kikar beis, which is the kikar of the t'nai, the kikar that it was dependent on, that was the hook that would make him also to eat kikar aleph. He was a shaygig. He didn't remember that there was a shvua. The way Rashi understands it, the way Rashi explains it is, that's when the shvua came into being, when he ate that kikar beis. But if he was a shaygig, the shvua cannot come into existence with someone who's a shaygig. You have to be amazed when you're bringing the shvua into existence. That means the shvua will come into existence from one of two ways: either when he eats kikar aleph or kikar beis. When he eats kikar beis, so then he's mekayim the t'nai, and that makes it he can't eat kikar aleph. The other way around also, if he eats kikar aleph, at that point the shvua comes into existence, because at that point, if he eats kikar beis, he's going to be over on the shvua. So, but the problem is, in this case, when he ate kikar aleph, he was a shaygig. A shvua cannot come into existence for someone who's a shaygig. When he's over on it, it has to be a shaygig in order for him to be a carbon. But if he's a shaygig, that's the shaygig part that you chayav a carbon on. But if you're a shaygig and bring the shvua into existence, then you part it altogether. And the shvua never came into existence. There has to be, it's almost like, like a das makne. You have to have an energizing force to the shvua, where you're intending to make a shvua. Now, when you made the shvua, obviously you meant what you said. But it's still not in effect that shvua until the t'nai was mekuyim. So if he was a shaygig at the time the t'nai was mekuyim, he's not being a shaygig and being over on the shvua. At that point, he's being a shaygig and putting the shvua into place. And then putting into shvua in place, you can't do b'shaygig. That's why if he ate the conditional kikar b'shaygig, he's going to be potter, even though the shniya was b'mezid. Rishayna b'mezid, but if it was the other way around, that the conditional one he did b'mezid, it was shniya b'shaygig, and then the second one was a shkaga, meaning that he intentionally ate the conditional kikar, and then he was a shaygig, he forgot. There's nothing wrong. Mezid is not really a good word for it, because he wasn't doing anything wrong at that time. He's allowed to eat the conditional kikar, but it just, once he eats kikar beis, he's no longer allowed to eat kikar aleph. But that's okay. But then he ate kikar aleph b'shaygig. So that's a classic case. The shvua came into existence. It was kicked into existence when he ate the conditional kikar. And then when he ate the second one, he's a shaygig on being over on that shvua. So then he has to bring chayiv, he has to bring a carbon. He has to bring carbon oil of yard. I'm sorry, this is a shvua. Yeah, he brings carbon oil of yard. Continuing on. Shtei and b'shaygig, if both of them are b'shaygig, then it's potter, because that's clear, right? If both kikar aleph and kikar beis, he wasn't aware of the shvua, then clearly when he ate when the shvua came into existence, he had no intention of making the shvua into existence, so it's not chal. Shtei and b'mezid, if both of them were b'mezid, then it's going to depend. So achle l'tnai, if he first ate the one that was the t'nai, and he says at that point he knows that he made a shvua, meaning that's the t'nai is kikar beis, the one that causes the shvua to come to existence, and he did it b'mezid. So he knew that he made a shvua that if he eats this kikar beis, he's not going to be allowed to eat kikar aleph, and nevertheless he ate it. So at that point the shvua kicks in, and he's not allowed to eat kikar aleph. Hadar achle l'isura, mechayiv. Then he's going to be mechayiv on eating the second one. He's a mechayiv malchus. He was over on a shvua b'mezid. But akle l'isura.
But he's not getting he's mechayiv not on the carbon, on the
He's going to be a chayiv malchus. Yeah.
malchus.
Yeah. He did it b'mezid, as you can't use right. But achle l'isura. But if it was the other way around, if he first ate kikar aleph, which is the subject of the Isser, right? He said, if I eat kikar beis, I can't eat kikar aleph. He first ate kikar aleph. So at that point, the shvua is going to kick in. And now if he's going to eat kikar beis, he's going to be over on the shvua. And then afterwards he ate kikar beis. Then pluk the Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish. It's going to be a machlekes of whether he's going to be chayiv for an outside reason. In theory, he should really be mechuyev in whichever the direction was. But there's going to be a technical problem where he first ate the iser and then afterwards the tnai. Lamandam hasra safik shma asra chayiv. If you hold asra safik shma asra, then he'll be chayiv. Lamandam alav shma asra potter. But if you hold asra safik shma asra, so when are you going to be master this guy? When he ate the first kikar aleph, which is the subject. So you being master him, don't eat it, but he could eat it. There's no problem with him eating it right now. The problem is only if he's going to later on eat kikar beis. So there's the shvur goes into effect, but you can't give him asra. And then later on, you want to give him asra. You can't give him asra at the end. He's not being over for eating kikar beis. When he eats kikar beis, it's causing him to lemafreya be over for eating kikar aleph. But the asra you gave back then was asra safik. Mashenkin, in the first case where he ate the isura first, we ate the tnai first. So there's no need to give asra when he ate the tnai. But when you see him, and he did that b'mezid, and then so this tnai kicked in, the iser kicked in. Then later on, when he goes to eat the isura, when he comes to eat kikarei, at that point, you could give him asra, and if he eats it, then he's going to definitely be out. Okay, that was the easy part. Now we get to the complicated part. Tolon zu bezu. What happens if he made two separate shvuos? Lo eichel zu im eichel zu, and lo eichel zu im eichel zu. So now there's no more kikar aleph and beis because they're both kikar aleph and both kikar beis. He said, I'm not going to eat kikar aleph if I eat kikar beis, and he also said, I'm not going to eat kikar beis if I eat kikar aleph. So both of them are both a iser. Each kikar is both an iser and a tnai on these two separate shvuos. Ba'achal zu bezadin atzma ubishagis chaverta. Then he went and he ate. Let's say the first one was kikar aleph. The one that was the original isura was kikar aleph, and then in the second shvuah was kikar beis. So he went and he went and he ate kikar aleph bizadin atzma, meaning he was at the time that he ate it, he knew that he had made the shvuah that if he eats he made the shvuah that if he eats kikar beis, this is going to be awesome. But meaning that, right? So he knew about that. So he knew he had made a shvuah that if he's going to eat kikar beis, he's going to be awesome. But he forgot that he had made this. That he had also made a second shvuah saying that if he ate kikar aleph, then kikar beis is going to be awesome. So where are we up to? Then he eats the second one. He eats another loaf. It's kikar beis, and at the time he ate that, it was the same thing. He forgot the original what he had remembered when he ate the first loaf, which was that kikar aleph is going to be aser. At that point he remembered if he eats kikar beis, he's going to be aser in kikar aleph, but he had forgotten that if he eats kikar aleph, he can't eat kikar beis. And then when he ate the second one, he remembered that I can only eat this one if I don't eat. I can only eat kikar beis if I don't eat kikar aleph. But he forgot that eating kikar beis asks him in eating kikar aleph. So in both of them, he's going to be potter because the second shvuah is not impossible. It's not the second shvuah, right? On kikar beis, it can't be chal at all because he was not aware. He was a shoygig at the time that it went to effect, right? Because when he ate the first loaf, that was the t'nai. Kikar aleph was the t'nai for kikar beis, and he was a shoigig on that second shvu at the time he ate kikar aleph. So even though he's amazed later on when he actually goes and eats, he remembers that he ate kikar aleph, but the shvu never had a chance to be chab. At the time that he ate kikar aleph is the t'nai for kikar beis, and we said when he ate kikar aleph, he was a zodoin on the shvu of kikar aleph, meaning he knew that eating kikar aleph means that he cannot eat kikar beis because he made a t'nai. If he eats kikar beis, he can't eat kikar aleph. But he totally forgot that he made a shvua aser in kikar beis if he eats kikar aleph. So the shvua for kikar beis has already kicked in. But so that's for sure not going to take effect. But what about kikar aleph? Why isn't he chayiv? He ate kikar. When he ate kikar aleph, he was a zod, and he knew there was a t'nai that it's going to be mechayev him.
You mechayev him on kikar beis, I mean.
No, on kikar aleph. When he ate kikar aleph, he knew that there's a t'nai existing, that if he eats kikar beis, he's going to be usher to eat kikar aleph. In the meantime, He still hasn't eaten it. So you say maybe he should be lemafreya chayev for that first one when he eats kikar beis. But the problem is when he ate that first kikar, it wasn't a shaygig. That means at the time he ate it, he wasn't doing anything wrong, right? He hadn't yet eaten kikar beis, so the shvur went into effect. But when he eats kikar beis, that's not the maisa of being over on the shvur. That's the t'nai, and that's the fact that that's b'shayik cannot make him chayiv either. He certainly can't be it's clear he can't get malchus for this, right? Because he didn't do it on purpose. He didn't. When he ate the second one, he didn't even remember there was such a shvur. And to say he can't become lemafreya that it should be a shaygig, but he ate the first one on purpose. So how can you be a shaygig on something you already knew at the time that you ate it? You knew there was a shvur against it. So it's impossible for him to lemafreya become now chayiv in a carbon because of eating that first kikar. So therefore, he's going to be potter on both of them. Okay. Zu b'shiggas atzma u'bezadin chaverta. What about the other way around? He ate kikar aleph, which is the one that's asur if he eats kikar beis. And at the time that he ate it, he forgot that there was a shvur on this asuring this kikar if he eats kikar beis. So clearly, there's not going to be any isser on this rishon, because we already know that you cannot have a shvur come into effect when you're a sheikh. Ubezadin chaverta, and he's a zadin on the chaverta. So theoretically, the second shvur can go into effect. At the time that he eats kikar aleph, he knows that kikar beis is going to be asur if he eats kikar aleph, and
I thought it only goes into effect when it's shaygig, not mazed.
No, the other way around. It only goes into effect when it's
But
amazing.
on malchus.
Either one. The shvu itself doesn't take effect unless the person is doing the shvu is coming into effect. It's coming in force, b'mezid. Then there's a second question when he's actually over, whether he gets malchus or depending on whether it's malchus or b'mezid, whether he's going to get malchus or a carbon. So he's a shiggas atzma, so that already knocks off any possibility of there being a chiyuv for the first shvua, the one that says that he's going to be chayiv on kikar aleph if he eats kikar beis because he's a shaygan on that. But he's a zogin chaverta. That means he's eating this kikar aleph and he's aware that he made a shvua on kikar beis, that if he eats kikar aleph, he's going to be chayiv on kikar beis. So he ate that, and then he ate the second one, and he forgot that he had made a shvur that he can't eat this if he eats kikar aleph, which he had already done. But he's a zadin on the second one, which is really irrelevant. Chayiv. He's going to be chayiv Rashi says for the second, only for the second shvua. Obviously, the first shvua can't take effect because it was a shaygig at the time the first shvua went into effect, but he could be chayiv on the second one. Shtein b'shaygig potter. If he's a shaygig on both the first and the second, then there's nothing to talk about. If he's a shaygig on shigas atzma and shigas chaverta on the first one, then there's nothing. Obviously, you're going to be fully off the hook. Then neither shvua goes into effect, and therefore he can't be chayiv. And he's mamish, like he's not doing anything wrong then by eating the other one, even if he remembers later on that he made the shvua. But if he was over on the t'nai b'shayig, then it doesn't go into effect. Or if he ate the actual thing, the object, which kicks in the shvua, because then he has to eat the second part, he will be pot. Shteim b'mezid, if he did both of them b'mezid, ashniya mechayev, on the second one, he's going to be chayev. Because, like we said, he did the t'nai at the beginning, right? And now before he eats kikar beis, they're gonna be masrim. They're gonna give him a hasra, and if he goes and eats it, then he was over on the t'nai he was over on the shvur that the t'nai kicked in. He's gonna be chayiv. Arishayna plukta to Rabbi Yochanan Reish Lakish, and on the first one, it's going to be back to the same machlokes Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish. Omer of Mary. Mari says, Afanan nami tnina. We also have this klal of Rava, that if you make a t'nai, that if you are not cognizant at the time you make the t'nai that the shvua exists, then the shvua can't come into existence under the circumstances of shaygig. We have a mishnah for that. We'll skip the parentheses with just the preamble to this mishnah. Nidrei shkagus ketzad. How can someone make a neder b'shkaga? We've been talking about shvuos. Now we're talking about this is in nidarim. How do you have a neder b'shkaga ketzad? Koinem imachalti v'im shasisi. If he says this kikar should be koinem, it should be asur to me if I ate or drank today. V'nizkar she'achalu shasa. And then afterwards he remembers that he actually did eat or drink. So at the time that he ate it, he forgot, and then later on he remembered. She'eni oichel v'she'eni shoisa, that, or he said, what is the case? She'eni oichel v'she'eni shoisa, that I'm not going to eat or I'm not going to drink. Shachach v'achal v'shasa, and he forgot about his shvua and he ate or drank. Mutter. In either case, since he was over on the t'nai b'shaygig, you cannot bring a shvua into existence by being over on the t'nai b'shaygig. Both of these cases, we're saying there's going to be a koinem. A koinem is going to kick in if I ate yesterday or I drank yesterday. At the time, he thought he hadn't eaten or drunk. So he was a shaygig on the kiyam hatnai. So that does not bring the koinem, the neder, into existence. The same thing the other way around. She'eni oichel v'she'eni shoisa, that I'm not going to eat and I'm not going to drink. And then he forgot that he had made the shvu altogether, and then he ate and drank. So since at the time he eats and drinks, that's when the shvu should come into existence, because the kiyam of the t'nai, but he was a shaygig on that, so it's mutter, he's going to be allowed to, the kikar that he made a koinem on is not going to become muscle. And the brisa continues. We have a brisa that says this is not only applied by Nadarim, it also applies on Shavuos, which is where Rava had said his din. Okay. Zaktimar. I think this is a geschmacka thing to be learning on right before Kabbalah Satira. Everything's okay, Lizzie?
Yeah, I'm trying to see why this is. Oh, because this is a riot to Rava.
The riot to Rava, yeah.
That's a shaygig.
That as long as there's a shaygig, the shvur cannot take effect. Eifa Tani shvuas bei Rabba. Eifa was learning the halachas of shvuas bei Rabba. Paga bei Avimi achva. His brother Avimi met him. I have a feeling Avimi was the older brother. I'm based on Zetzli zero. I'm just making this up, but he decided to torture his younger brother and ask him a bunch of questions. Amalei Shvuah started asking him. He say, "Oh, so you know halachas of Shavuos. Let me ask you a bunch of questions." Amalei Shvuah shalai yachalti, Shvuah shalai yachalti mao. What's the din if you say a shvuah that I didn't eat, and then you say another shvuah shalai yachalti? What's the din? Now he sucked in, Avimi sucked in Eifa, because Eifa said, "Oh, we learned in our Mishnah, shvuah shalei eichel, shvuah shalei echlena, shvuah shalei echlena. We said Yechayev only one. Amalei ein chayev alachas." He said, just like in our Mishnah, we said you only chayev one. If you made a bunch of shvuos, you only chayev one. Amalei ishta beshta. I got you. You're incorrect. Harayatza shvuah l'shakar. Because in the case of the Mishnah, the person made a shvuah, shalai eichel, shalai eichel, shalai eichel. Once he made the first shvuah, shalai eichel, the second shvuah is redundant. It already was asur to him. You can't make a shvuah on something that's asur to say that you're not going to eat it. It's already asur. It's like mushba vayim Mar Sinai. But a person who says shvuah shalai echalti, once he said shvuah shalai echalti, he's not assuring anything. He made a shvuah sheker about what he did in the past. So that's over and done with. You make a second shvuah shalei echalti, that's a second shvuah. There's no, it's not redundant. It's a new shvuah. So he got him on that. So then he asked another question. Shvuah shalei eichel tisha ve'eser. He said, what if someone made a shvuah that I'm not going to eat 9 figs today? Then he made a second shvuah that I'm not going to eat 10 figs today. Mao, what's the din? Are you chayiv if you eat 10 figs? Are you mechayiv double? Are they considered 2 separate shvuos? Amalei chayiv al kol achas v'yachas. He said, "Oh, like you just proved to me, you make 2 shvuos, you chayiv on each one." Amalei, he said to Mishtabesh, "No, I got you again. Itesha le'achol, asa le'achol." It's not, you're not chayiv on each one, because once you made a shvuah that you're not going to eat 9, included in that is that you can't eat 10. So it was already asur. So there's no room for the second shvuah is repetitive. It's redundant. It's something that was already asur, and it's still asur. So it doesn't have any room for it to be chal. Then he asked the third question. Shvuah shalei eichel eser v'tesha. What about the other way around? A shvuah that I won't eat 10 and then I won't eat 9. Mao. Eifa was not getting the hint. And he went with the obvious answer. He said, "Oh, listen, if I said that a shvuah shalei eichel teisha ve'eser is going to chayiv 1, so probably the same thing the other way around. Amalei ein chayiv alachas. Amalei ishta beshta. You're mistaken. Eser hu d'le'achal. Ha-teisha miya'achal. When he makes a shvuah shalei eichel teisha, so he could still eat 9. So now when he makes a second shvuah that he can't eat 9, that's adding on to the first shvuah. So that's a new shvuah, and therefore it's chal. Okay, that's the end of the harassing of Eifa, of Avimi on Eifa. Amar Abaya notes just a observation. Zimnin de mishkachas lo lahod Eifa kedemar. Sometimes Mar has an example where what Eifa said, that you can make a shvuah of 10 and afterwards of 9, and then it should be chal as what was it? If you make a shvuah first of eser and then of 9, even though we said 9 is a smaller shvuah, where the second shvuah will not be chal, like Eifa had tried to say. But it's in a very specific case. He's not really justifying the din. He's just saying there are circumstances in where you can make a larger shvuah and then make a shvuah on a smaller amount, and it still won't be chal. The Amar Rabbah, shvuah shalei eichel te'enim va'anavim. So made a shvuah that I'm not going to eat te'enim va'anavim. Because of Amar shvuah shalei eichel te'enim. And then he went ahead and he made a second shvuah saying that he's not going to eat just te'enim, just figs, not just grapes and figs, but just figs. So this is very similar to to a shvuah of 10 and then 9. First, he made a shvuah where he has to eat both anovim and te'enim, which is similar to a shvuah of 10. Then he made a shvuah of just te'enim, which is like a similar, like of 9, where he's going to be chayiv more easily. Then what happened? Va'achal te'enim, he ate te'enim, so he was already over on that second shvuah. V'hifresh carbon, and he was mafresh a carbon for those te'enim. Va'achkach achal anovim, and then he ate anovim, l'chudayu, only anovim. So l'chayra, one would think, according to what Avimi said, he should be mechayev now 2 karbanis, a second carbon. He first ate just te'enim, which was his second shvuah. He was over on that, and now by also eating the anovim, he was chayev on the first shvuah. So in other words, it's as if he ate 9 te'enim in the original din of Avimi, and he was mechayev them for his second shvuah, and then he ate a 10th. On the same day, he ate the 10th te'ena. So now he'd be over on the first shvuah. He should mechayev the second one. We said havlu hanovim chatzi shir, but chatzi shir lo mechayev carbon. We say since he already separated a carbon for the first avla, for the te'enim in this case, he can't then be mitzdaref it with the anovim that he eats later to be over on the first shvuah, because each shear is isolated. We call it a chatzi shear, but the point is each half of the shvuah, right? In this case, it was both te'enim and anovim, and since he already brought a carbon, or he separated a carbon, you can't anymore use that. You can't be mitzdaref that chiyuv, that act, with a different act to be able to be mechayev. It's already separated from it. Hachanami, going to Amar Shvuah Shelo Eichel Esed because of Amar Shvuah Shelo Eichel Teisha, v'Eichel Teisha v'Hifresh Karba v'Achach Achal Atzius Havlas Chatzi Shir v'Chatzi Shir leMechayev. The same thing would be over here. So this is an example of a case where Avimi's din would not necessarily be true, and it would be like Eifa had suggested. Okay. Let's go another couple of minutes. Again, Dovi, you weren't here at the beginning, but I said if anyone has to drop out, feel free. I just want to try to catch up a little bit. Second Mishnah. Ezui Shvuah Shav. What is a Shvuah Shav? Right? Until now we've been talking about a Shvuah's Bita. Now we're moving on to a Shvuah Shav. A Shvuah's Bita is where a person states something and he doesn't do as he stated. A Shvuah Shav is a useless Shvuah. It's a Shvuah that doesn't accomplish anything. It's purposeless. It can't be true. So what is a Shvuah Shav? Nishba Lishnes Sayidul Adam. We had this before. Someone who makes a shvuah to change what everyone knows. Amar Allah Amar Shel Evan Shehu Shalzav. He said about a pillar of stone that it's made out of gold. Vala Isha Isha Vala Isha Sheyish. Now, obviously, this is very politically controversial right now, right? But for all of human history until about the last year, everyone knew a man was a man and a woman is a woman. Nishbal Dava Shi Efshaloi. Or if he makes a shvuah that for something that it's impossible that it's true, it's just not shaykh. What's an example of that? If I didn't see a camel flying through the air, or if I didn't see a snake, we assume the size of the beam of an olive press. These are both impossibilities. Or Amal Edim Bo Vahiduni Shvuah. So those are things that are not possible. Amal Edim Bo Vahiduni Shvuah Boy Vahiduni. If he said to Edim, come and say Edis for me, Shvuah Shaloi Na'idecha, and they say Shvuah, no, we're making a Shvuah, we're not going to say Edis for you. Now that's a Shvuah Nishba Levatel Sa Mitzvahs. He's basically what he's doing is it's a shvuah shav. I mean, it's not. I'm not saying reading it right, but the point is, a person is not allowed to make a shvuah connected what the Torah requires him to do. And if you know Edis, there's a mitzvah to say it. So this is a shvuah connected a mitzvah. Also, someone who directly makes a shvua to mivatal mitzvah. Nizhulat is a mitzvah. Shaloi lasa sukkah, shaloi lita lulav. He makes a shvua. He's not going to make a sukkah. He's not going to bring a. He's not going to get a lulav. Shaloi aniach tefillin. He's not going to put on tefillin. Zu shvua shav. All these are shvua shav. Useless shvua shechayv and asdalin and makas. You bring a makas. You get malchus if you do it on purpose. Val shigasei pater. But there's no carbon if you do it b'shoigig. The carbon oil of yared is only on a shvius bitui. A shvua where you state something that's possible. So if it's impossible, there's no shkaga, there's no chatas, there's no carbon oil of yared, there's no carbon at all. Shvua she'oichel kikazu, shvua shaloi oichlena. If he makes a shvua, two opposite shvuas. First, he makes a shvua that I'm going to eat this kikar. Then he makes a shvua that I'm not going to eat it. Harishayna shvuas bitui. The first one is a shvuas bitui.
Yeah.
He said I'm going to eat it.
You might as well bake the second package. It's defrosted.
Okay, vashniya shvuas shav.
You want me to ask my boyfriend if I could take from him like 4 trays?
Vashniya shvuas shav, and the second one is a shvuas shav, right? The rishayna is a shvuas bitui because he said it's fine. You can make a shvua that you're going to eat something, but then when you try to make the second one, it's connected the Torah, right? You're making a shvua that you're not going to eat it, but you already made a shvua you are going to eat it. So you're making a shvua connected the mitzvahs. So that's a useless shvua. Achla, if he eats it over al shvua shav, if he eats it, then he's over on the shvua shav because the second shvua was that he said he's not going to eat it, and even though it was a useless shvua, he was over on it. Now the Gemara is going to ask, it's not if it's just that it's achla that he's over on the shvua shav. The shvua shav, as soon as you make it, you're over on it. And since it's connected what he had promised, he's over right away. But if he doesn't eat it, he's over on the shvuas bita, and l'chayra he's also still over on the shvuas shav. And that's the Gemara is going to talk about. Amar Ula, but who shenikal l'gilul bnei adam? This that we say that a shvuas shav is something that's yidua l'kayil. That's as long as it's known by 3 people. That makes it into shvuas shav. The Gemara says, we said example of something that's not possible. If a person says, if I didn't see a camel flying through the air, the Gemara says, why didn't it say what? It didn't say shvua shaloi ra'isi. It didn't say he didn't say I'm making a shvua that I saw a camel. That would be the normal way. If someone's claiming he saw a camel, you say a shvua that I saw. My im loy ra'isi. So what does it mean? Why does it say im loy ra'isi? Abaya amar tni shvua sharisi. Einachanami. She just understood the Mishnah really meant that he made a shvua that he saw such a camel. Rava amar ba'aymi yasru kaver shevayim lalai im loy ra'isi gamo perech bavir. It was like a kainam. He said that was the way that you would express a shvua. You'd say, I'm answering everything to the world if I didn't see this strange, bizarre incident. Amalei Ravina Lavashi. The Dilma Hai Gavra Tzipoira Rabachazi Va'asik Le Shma Gamla. How do you know? Why is this a shvuas shav? Maybe the person saw a large bird and he called it a gamal. In his mind, it was that was what he called it. It wasn't that he saw a gamal. He meant he saw a large bird. When he made the shvua, he was having in mind his what he had in mind. If you'll say, it doesn't make a difference what he thought in his mind. You have to go after what a person says. And he said he saw a camel, and there was no camel, so it's a shua shav. But Tanya, that when we make someone make a shvua in Bezdin, we say you can't make a shvua based on what's in your head, but rather you have to make a shvua based on our das and on the das of Bezdin. So my time, maybe the reason why we have to do this is because maybe the guy owed money and he handed over to the guy a piece of wood, and he said to him, he gave it to him, and he had in his mind, he named that piece of wood Zuzi. So now when he makes the shvua, he's thinking, it's like crossing your fingers behind your back. He's thinking that, that piece of wood that I in my head named the Zuzi, I gave to him. So when the guy says, make a shvuah. When the Bezdin says, make a shvuah, you gave him the money. He says, yeah, I gave him the money. I gave him 100 zuzi, which is really 100 pieces of wood that matchsticks that he in his mind called zuzi. And that's the reason why Bezdin says you have to make a shvuah on our das, not on your own das. It's like the reason of this for a different reason, because of the case of Rava. Rashi explains there was one time a guy who was a big chacham. Reuven owed money to Shimon, so Reuven came into Bezdin. He brought a hollow cane, and he filled it with 100 zuz. And before it came time for him to swear that he had paid back Shimon, he gave the cane filled with 100 zuz and asked Shimon to hold it for him. And then he picked up his hand and he swore, yeah, I swear I gave the 100 zuz to Shimon, which he did in the cane. And then after he made a shvuah, he asked for his cane back and he got his 100. So we're not talking about a person who's doing al das, something that he made up in his head. He's talking about a case where he actually set things up so that he had returned it. But obviously Bezdin doesn't have that in mind, the money. So he's saying you have to do it al das Bezdin. Bezdin is not interested in your nonsense that you handed over. So that's why they require him to say al das Bezdin. Toshma. We also find this by when Moshe told the Yidden to make a shvuah that they're going to follow the Torah. Moshe Rabbeinu said to the Yidden, you're making a shvuah to follow the Torah. You're not doing it on whatever you have in your mind, but rather on my own das and the das of the Rebbeinu Shalom. So l'chayr, that's a raya to the fact that Moshe Rabbeinu felt it's necessary. It's in order to stop the Yidden from having in mind to follow Avodah Zarah. Maybe why doesn't he say, instead of saying al daiti, why doesn't he just say follow what the Rebbeinu Shalom tells you? La mishum demaski adatayu avodas gechavim is not the reason, because if he says eloika, because they're going to say, okay, well, we'll make a shvuah, but they'll have in mind they still want to be oved avodah zarah. When they say eloika, they're thinking of avodah zarah. So his verse says no, it's not because they'll rename the eloika to avodah zarah. La mishum avodas gechavim nami yikra eloika. Because if you say make a shvuah that you're going to follow eloika, they'll think realistically that eloika has two meanings. It could mean the Rebbeinu Shalom, it could mean avodah zarah. The siv elokeich. Elehei chesef, Elehei zav. We say about avodah zarah, we call it Elehei. V'leim elahu kami Torah. In fact, the Gemara, so instead of saying Eleka, which can be subject to two meanings, let's say Torah. So the Gemara chad Torah. Maybe then they'll think only one Torah between Torah Shebal Peh and Torah B'Ksav. They'll only think of one of them. V'leim akaimu shtei Torahs. Let's say two Torahs. Torahs Chatas for Torahs Asham. They'll think of Torahs Chatas and Torahs Asham, and the rest of the mitzvahs they won't be mechoyevim. Kaim kol Torah kula. Maybe they'll say, let's be mekayim the kol Torah kula. Avodas gechavim. They'll think of avodas gechavim. The Amar chamur avodas gechavim shechala kaifer ba k'mayde b'chol Torah kula. So they'll only be responsible for avodas gechavim and not anything else. B'leimelu kaim mitzvah chada. B'leimelu kaimu mitzvah. Maybe let's tell them to be mekayim mitzvah. Chada mitzvah. They'll think of only one mitzvah. Kaimu mitzvahs. You should be mekayim mitzvahs, tarti, then only do two mitzvahs. Kol mitzvahs, all of the mitzvahs. Kula mitzvahs, tzitzis. They'll think of tzitzis, because tzitzis, the Mar, shkula mitzvahs, tzitzis connected kol mitzvahs. So whatever lashon you're going to use, it's always going to be able to be, not just that the Torah Yidden will have in mind a different machshava, but it could also be justifiable that there's a different way of interpreting. B'leimelu kamashes meyas v'sholosh esrei mitzvahs. Let's do all 316 mitzvahs. So Gemara, l'tamech. If according to you that you want to say that it wasn't meant to preclude the Yidden from having their own things in mind, le'elu al daiti al das makom lamali. Let Moshe Rabbeinu just say al daiti. What does it have to say al das makom? So it must have been something else intended. Eliki heiche havi hapara hafara l'shvuosayim. The reason why he said it was not because they were going to have something else in mind. It was intended because, as we know, we've come across this before, that there's no hafara you can't be made for a neder that was done al das Bezdin or al das other people. Let's just finish up to the Mishnah. It'll take a minute. We said he makes a shvua that impossible shvua that I didn't see. If I didn't see a snake the size of a kares beis Chabad, there was this snake in the days of Shnei Malka that could swallow 13 stablefuls of hay. We're talking about when he said kares beis Chabad, it was spotted like a beis Chabad, like a olive press. In fact, all snakes are spotted. So we're talking about it, its back was spotted, which is an impossibility. Like we mentioned before, when he makes the opposite shvuas, he says, if I'm going to do, I'm going to eat, then he says, I'm not going to eat. So the second one is always immediately a shvua shav. So I think it's only mechayiv a shvuas bitay. There also is a shvua shav, whether he violates it or not. It means both on a shvuas bitay and on a shvuas shav. Thank you so much. And as Hashem, Dovi, we made up tomorrow. We're going to try to learn at 9:30. If you make it, hopefully you'll make it. Okay, have a good talk. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Good talk,